What's up, guys? Welcome to the alert setting lesson. I'm just going to go through just quickly on how I sort of set my alerts up and how you can kind of do this on your own. So I'm not going to use a real chart example because we're going to be getting into that more and more as we start to do end of week recaps, midweek recaps, live training events, etc., etc. But this will just give you a basic overview of what I look for to sort of set alerts. So in the case that right now I am looking to essentially make a play at any point here. Basically what I'm looking at, given the fact that we're just following this this line right here, this black line, which should probably represent your medium time frame, whether that's a 30-minute, 15-minute, could even be a 1 hour, but basically underneath the 4 hour. So in the case that I'm looking to trade this short, the way that I would start to look at this would be I would set my alert here for my first one. And the reason I do that is because we have liquidity to take into our POI. It comes from an area that takes liquidity, and we also have targeted liquidity in terms of expectational order flow lows. So what that means is ultimately when we come up into this region, we start to see this, we are technically going to be counter order flow. And the reason I say that is because we technically need to break through this level to get up to there. Now, what we need to consider is we will have refinements in these regions right here. So you can either set your overall POI, which would be, okay, 15 min POI. You would also label this out that we are counter order flow as a reminder that if we do tag into this, that it technically would be a counter order flow move. If and when we sort of do something like this, push down, break up, break down, and then come back in, then ultimately your next, the way that I set these alerts up is every single time we break up or down, I would have an alert set. So when we come in, my first alert is here. As we break away, my second alert is here. My third alert is here. What this does is if and when we break above this, this would be labeled as POI swept, right? Once the POI is swept, I can now put my alert here. Now I can say order flow realigned, okay? When it realigns, once you do that, you're gonna label your inducement level, right? Ideally the area, so we're either gonna be trading from a flip or an extreme in here that's taking liquidity. Ideally the POI should take liquidity on the flip as well, but you can just see the sequence of events that need to happen, right? So the idea with setting these, alerts is that you're less screen time, you're less enticed into the market, because if your specific criteria doesn't develop and it doesn't give you a setup that you're comfortable trading or correlates with your trade plan, ultimately you're saving yourself, dozens and dozens of unnecessary losses. So like I said, inducement level is sitting here. If we come into here, we could start to look to maybe trade a 15-minute basically a liquidation of the 15-minute tap, alignment of structure, basically an internal break, coming up into here, pushing down, sweeping, whatever it is, and then looking for your 1 minute criteria, same exact thing, right? So this is how you look at every single time frame. Now, the other thing that you can do with our flowchart modeling system, again, this is just for a 15-minute POI. We also have refinements, right? So when we trade refinements, counter order flow, typically they're going to come from the areas that sweep, which is right here. So you probably have a refined POI. So you could label this entire 15-minute POI. You could also label this one and say this is the refined extreme. Be very specific with your stuff, because ultimately the idea is that when you're carrying on doing your day-to-day, whether you're at a 9 to 5, out for breakfast, out for lunch, whatever the fuck you guys are doing, the idea behind this is that you're able to say, okay, if we tap a 15-minute POI, I know that there's going to be a pullback phase. I know that there's going to be a liquidation, basically a mitigation of the actual refined POI, potentially a change of order flow or an order flow realignment. So when you see that it's tapped into a 15-minute, you don't have to rush home and look and see what's going on with the charts, right? You can ultimately say, okay, typically this takes, 4 hours to kind of build, whatever it might be. Now you just set your next alert, right? And you can do that right on your phone. So basically an alert should trigger your next alert. And all that means is once we tap in, the next alert should be breaking this level or breaking this level or breaking this level, right? Because if we break down, we get the tap in, we start moving away, we push up and we break down like this, we could then potentially look at new POIs in this region. So the idea is that every time we break a relevant piece of structure on the respective timeframes that we're trading from, there should be an alert that gets triggered to basically put you in a position where you're able to monitor more closely to understand what the next move in the market is and whether or not you're getting down onto entry timeframes.